Yo, my name is Cordell, and today we're going to talk about how to avoid the dreaded loop syndrome, where you get stuck creating one loop and you don't know what to do next if you've ever been lost in this, either as a music producer or as a person living a life. Then this is the video for you. Stick around. Okay, I've made a lot of songs in my day and I've been able to move through them really quickly. Often my productions, if you listen to them all the way through, there's a lot of changing sections, there's a lot of movements, there's a lot of variation from this section to this section to this section, and a big part of that is this technique I'm going to share with you that I call the alphabet method. And I use this to make sure that I'm moving through a song in a way that stays interesting to the listener, but is also really fun for me as a producer to continue to have fun and iterate and play with ideas in a way that eventually leads to a full song. And what I've found is the techniques for continuing to move through a track actually help with continuing to move through life as a person as well. So I'm going to show you how I make that connection in a bit. But first, we got to make a loop. So let's do that. Alright, as you can see here, I've got a loop. I made a loop, I looped it up, I took what I just played in that little montage and I chopped up some stuff and turned it into a loop. Not perfect, but pretty cool place to start. So what I would do is call this section A. If you right click up here in this banner, you can insert a locator. If you add this locator, you can call it whatever you want. For the alphabet method, we're just going to call it A for now. So what I could do is continue to work on this, since like I said, it's not perfect. I could work on this for 100 years, but eventually I'm going to get bored of this particular thing. I'm either going to get bored of hearing it, or I'm going to feel like there's nothing I can do to make it better. Or I'm going to notice a pivot point, which if you've seen my video on how to make infinite wubs, you'll know that a pivot point is just when you get another idea that's pretty cool, but it's completely different from what you're actively working on right now. Either way, whether I get bored working on it, I can't make it any better, or I find a pivot point, what I can do at that point, instead of giving up or just saying I can't finish this song or just leaving it as a loop like a lot of people do, what you can do instead is use the alphabet method. So that's when we duplicate this whole section and we change something about it. So first, let's duplicate it. All you need to do is highlight this whole bit, the whole loop, and then you're going to hit Command-Shift-D. That'll just duplicate everything that you highlighted. So as you can see now, I've got a whole nother section here, and as per the alphabet method, we're going to label this B. Add locator, call it B. Now, once we've got a B section, I mean, this is basically still a loop. It's just the same thing over and over again. So what we need to do is change this B section. There are three ways to do something new. The first one is simple. Just take something out. Remove any kind of element, whether it's the hi-hats or a percussion section, or remove some vocals. Just taking things out can actually be a great way to change up the section that you're in. It'll often bring the energy down, which can be really good for changing dynamics, because when the energy is down, that leaves so much more room for the energy to come back up. And that's something that creates emotion and creates intrigue, and is just going to make your whole composition so much more musical. And I swear I'm not crazy. This is actually a really big part of developing your life and the way you get into flow across activities, your lifestyle flow, if you will, is making changes to the way that you're living so that it doesn't feel stagnant, it doesn't feel repetitive, it feels interesting and engaging. Sometimes you feel overwhelmed, you've got too much going on, or it just feels like it's the same kind of rigmarole day after day after day. Taking certain things out can actually create space for you to breathe and for you to think about the way your life is going and really just change things up. So taking out certain habits, removing certain techniques that you often use, taking certain things like out of your diet, or even removing like certain people. I know that kind of sounds harsh, but sometimes adaptive distancing can be really important for shaping the type of communities that you want. But really, it's anything that you can remove that's just going to be interesting and most importantly make your life a little little bit more fun. So first let's listen to it and see if I want to add something, I want to remove something, or if I want to change something. I think I want to just remove the synth patch for this particular B section. So let's just hear how it sounds going from A into B when I remove the synth patch. I dig it. It's definitely going there. Let's also remove this auto pan. This is creating the kind of movement that's going on with this. In this case, I mean, you could say I'm changing it, but I like to think I'm just taking out something that I had already put in there. So let's hear how it sounds removing the synth patch and removing this auto pan. I love it. Let's continue to remove some stuff just for the sake of like this exercise. I've got a few different percussion elements here. Let's remove all of these hats. Let's just see how it sounds. I honestly love it. This is a whole new section. All I did was remove a bunch of stuff from my original loop. But eventually I'm going to get bored of this loop as well. Now it's just a loop that's twice as long with two different sections. So as soon as I get tired of this, or I'm not sure how to add to this anymore, or I get another inkling of an idea and I don't want to radically change this, I just go to the next letter. Another way to add something new to another section is to add something. So in a musical sense, this is when you can add extra hi-hats or percussion elements, add in more vocals, add in a solo, like add in some textural elements. It's really fun to just toss things in. The goal of these new alphabet sections isn't to improve the last section, it's to continue having fun and continue to change what you're working on. So you're just adding things in to see what happens. And of course, in life, this is really one of the best ways to continue to change the way that you're living is just add new stuff in, try new things, add new food into your diet, add in some new skills into the way that you're creating, add some new people into your life, go to new places. Adding in new things to the way that you're living is always going to be a surefire way to change the energy level of your day-to-day experience and just change how you're existing as a person in the world. So you can't just duplicate this exact letter. Same jam, Command-Shift-D. Boom. And then you know the drill. You right click up here, you name it C. So in C, since I just removed a bunch of stuff, the energy kind of dipped down. So for this next one, maybe I'll try adding in extra elements and just add things that I think are interesting or make sense. In this case, I'm really just focusing on what I think I would enjoy in this next one. But I'm just adding whatever I can, whatever I want. So let's add in what was already there, first of all. So I'm just going to add in the synth back, add in the auto pan back, and see what else I want to add to this section. Maybe I'm going to add in all my hats back as well. Bloop. You just hit 0 when you highlighted MIDI notes, and they will either mute or unmute. Easy. I think what I want to do is add a higher pitched version of this guitar. So I just hit Command T to create a new track here. I'm going to copy all of this and then paste it down here. So right now it's a duplicate, but I'm going to highlight all of it, come down into the audio section, click 12. So now this is an octave higher. I didn't duplicate any of the processing. So let's slap that on there as well and see how that sounds with it an octave higher. Pretty hot. Let's continue adding stuff. I think what I want to do is add an open hi-hat. This is like a really good one to add. If you're trying to add anything, adding more hi-hats and more cymbals is always going to be a good option. So let's just grab some kind of open hat. And now let's just add them, I think just on the upbeat. real simple for this case. This is already sounding like a totally different section, and all I've done was add a few more elements. Of course, I can continue to add tons and tons of things, but for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to call that enough adding for this letter. And of course, one of the simplest ways to add something new is to just change the way that things are already there. So this is changing around the notes in a bass line, or changing the rhythm or the groove of the drums. Honestly, this is my go-to when I'm going through the alphabet method, is to just tweak and move things around and chop stuff up and just edit in ways that I think is really going to change the structure of the loop that I had before. But since I duplicated it and this is a new letter, I don't have to worry about ruining it or losing everything that I've made, because this is a whole new letter. I mean, change is part of life. When you change things in terms of the way that you're living, that's just going to become a different way of living. Like, it sounds really simple, but if you're starting to get really bored with the way things are going in your life, or of course you're getting overwhelmed with the way your life is going, make some of these changes. Put the alphabet method to work in your day-to-day and see what you can change to keep things interesting and fresh for yourself. Maybe something simple like changing up your toothpaste, or it could be something huge like changing up the city that you're living in. But either way, it's a great way to make sure that you're continually changing and evolving, just like a really musical track would. If you're enjoying this alphabet method, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button so that YouTube knows that this video is helpful, and leave a comment down below so that I can know how this alphabet method is working for you as well. All right, you know the drill. So at some point, I'm either going to find a pivot point where I've got a new idea, or I'm just going to get tired of working on this and I'm going to stagnate. So we're going to go into another letter. Let's just hit Command-Shift-D there, and booyah, we've made it to D. So to go from A to B, we took a bunch of stuff out. To go from B to C, we added a few more things in. To go from C to D, what I like to demonstrate is just changing things. To be honest, this is one of my favorite ways to move through this alphabet method, is to just make a bunch of tweaks, duplicate, make a bunch of tweaks, duplicate. So in this case, this bass line feels ripe for the change in. So what I'm going to do is start to tweak this bass line a little bit and just change it up and see what I can do. If you hold Command-Option-Shift, you can slide through your audio, and I recorded a bunch of stuff, so I'm just going to see what I've got inside of here. In addition to chopping things up and moving audio around, I also have to reverse stuff as a way to change something for another alphabet section. So in this case, I'll just hit R and I'll reverse this higher guitar note. Let's hear how that sounds. I also think I'm just going to change the rhythms. So right now we've got eighth notes on the synth. You right click that, you can hit show automation, and I'm just going to change that to let's see 16th notes. Let's do the same with the guitar. The auto pan is the one that's doing it in here, so we're going to change that to let's just do 16th notes as well so we get them going together. Nice. And let's take out the hi-hats for now, and let's change the hi-hat pattern. I think I just want 16th notes here as well, but if you hold a command, you can change the velocities of these notes. So we get like a shaka 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 shaka. And then of course, if you highlight all of them, you can go to velocity range. And then down here, you'll get a little bit of variation in it. So already I've just changed a few things. This is feeling like a totally different section, especially compared to the one before it. You're just looking for any kind of changes that might be interesting. So as you can see, this could go on for eternity. I've gone all the way up to G, H, F, K, L, M. Like, I know that wasn't in order, but it doesn't matter because you can go as far as you want to with this. Once you've got all of these pieces and you've started to move things around, you might want to start to focus on the transitions from one section to another section so it doesn't just sound like an instant, complete change. But if you want to check that out, I actually have a whole other video on transitions from section to section and maybe even transitions in your life itself. So check that out right here, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.